Um, ooh, we really appreciate it, particularly everyone probably being in school holidays or just after work. So thank you for being here. Before I start, I just wanted to acknowledge the traditional owners of this land. So this is NAIDOC Week, so in spirit of reconciliation, NAILA acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people today. I should probably introduce myself before I start. I'm Sophie. I'm the Programs Coordinator for NAILA this year. We've also got Christy and Patrick, our program officers, and they will be running the presentation with me. And Wes and Darcy will be helping at the end with our Q&A. They are our language coordinators for NAILA. So any questions you've got about submissions, they are your go-to. They know exactly what they're looking for. Again, really appreciate you all being here. Hopefully this means that you're interested in either participating in the competition yourself, or you're a teacher wanting to encourage your students to participate, which is fantastic. Can I change the slide? Yes. So you might already know a little bit about NAILA already, but just as a brief overview, NAILA is the National Australian Indonesian Language Awards. It's an annual awards competition. I think this is our 7th year going, and we all just want to foster the development of Indonesian language learning in Australia. This is something that we at NAILA are all incredibly passionate about. Particularly with the decline of Indonesian language studies across Australian schools and universities. We feel that it's something that's so important. Indonesia is our closest neighbour, so not only for trade, economics, but also just on a cultural level, it can be so beneficial to careers and cross-cultural communications and understanding. So this competition is something that's open to all levels of language learners. So we have from early primary up until executives, so either Indonesian teachers or people using Indonesian in their career. So anyone can participate. And the basic structure is a spoken recorded video, obviously in Indonesian, responding to one of the prompts provided, which we'll go through later on. We'll go into more detail later, and there's also the opportunity at the end to ask any questions if I've missed anything. So I did say it's open to all ages and everything. There are a couple of eligibility criteria. So NAILA is open to Australian citizens and permanent residents only. Open to second language speakers only. You don't need to be learning Indonesian formally to participate. And applicants may only enter one category per round and may only win each category once. So what that means is you can't apply, say, for a tertiary category and also a People's Choice category in the same year. You can only apply to one. And also, for example, say you won last year, but you're in the same age category this year. Unfortunately, you can't apply to win 2 years in a row. So this is just a way for us to standardise the competition. Wouldn't be completely fair for a first-time language learner to be up against a native speaker. So this is kind of just a way for us to standardise that. Again, if you've got any questions about your personal eligibility or students' eligibility, definitely let us know. And we can kind of help you decipher all of that. Onto the more exciting and interesting part. So in the past, some of our themes have been diversity, environment, health. This year is bepergian or travel. So the broad theme being, where do you want to travel and why? Interesting time to be talking about it. Unfortunately, a lot of us can't travel at the moment, but hopefully very soon we'll all be getting out there and be able to speak in Indonesian all about it. So within each category, there are more specific prompts that you can respond to as well, which we will go over. So these are the categories that I've been talking about. You can see in the middle there, the eligibility is school year levels. Then we've got university, professionals or teachers, and the People's Choice, which is a group or original solo performance. You can also see the prizes on the side there. That's normally a big incentive for participation. As well as this, we also hold an annual awards ceremony in hopefully in Sydney this year, COVID pending, but it would be great to be doing it in person again after last year being online. This involves obviously the award ceremony itself, but also cultural activities, networking events, and much more throughout the weekend, which is a great opportunity to meet other language learners after the competition. We also have 2 further prizes, which are being announced for the first time. We'll obviously be putting up further information about that after tonight. So we want to show our gratitude to all the other people that are involved in the competition, so Indonesian teachers and alumni. So there is a $200 gift voucher for teachers who submit the most valid submissions on behalf of his or her students, and also a lucky draw for NAILA alumni who refer students as well. So just a way for other teachers and alumni to get involved without, say, entering in the competition themselves. I'll now pass over to Patrick. So he's going to go more into the details and some of the tips and tricks for submissions.
Thank you, Sophie. And I won't take too much time. All of the information that I'll run through is up on the website, which is NAILA, naila.org.au. So if you need further reference, the information is there, but I will just take a couple of minutes to step through some of the high-level information. There are obviously more categories between early primary and executive, but it's just to provide a sense of what's in between and what that range is. So in terms of speaking time, depending on category, people have ranging from sort of 1 to 2 minutes for their speech up to 5 and 7 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes in the executive category. The topics are set out for each category. Examples include, imagine you're traveling to Indonesia. Can you introduce yourself to an Indonesian friend for upper primary? To, should we give up flying for the sake of the climate, and perhaps the touchier topics? And is there an alternative solution for executive participants? Might get you to go to the next slide, please. Speech tips, like any speech really, choose a topic that you're interested in, research your topic, and for delivery, use a variety of tone and volume and visual prompts to help with your presentation. Avoid reading notes and start to use hand gestures and engage with your audience. Obviously, with all of these things, practice makes perfect. And so the more rehearsed, the better. Go to the next slide, please. These are some of the common mistakes that we've compiled over the years and some of the feedback from judges. So obviously pronunciation, not using gestures, body language and props, people relying on notes for their speech, much like I am now, and then the importance of eye contact with camera, being aware of surroundings and lightings and trying to minimize background noise, and using signposting and connectors to help with the flow of your speech. Go to the next one, please, Sophie. So the general criteria, it's out of 50 marks, and they're, as you can see on the slide, divided between content and structure, vocabulary and grammar, delivery, audience awareness / enthusiasm, and clarity of expression. I'll go to the next slide. The detailed marking criteria are available on the website on the resources page. And I think perhaps for time purposes now, step through some of the key points for those exceptional speeches, and essentially as it goes down from exceptional to good to fair to needs to improvement, it's just a different quality in some of these key components. So to pull some of them out, I think we've touched on structure being clear, flow of the speech being consistent and even. Use of sophisticated vocabulary gets you extra point, but also making sure that the vocabulary is appropriate to the style and the expression of the speech as well. Delivery, engaging eye contact, not too many pauses, and going back, I guess, to flow of your speech. And then there is also audience awareness. And in that category, I think, and one of the interesting components of it is successfully increasing audience knowledge of the topic. So saying something interesting, saying something fresh, saying something that people are interested in is going to get you more marks, and then saying it clearly with clear pronunciation will top it all off. And we'll be able to take any questions on any of those criteria. But again, up on the website at naila.org.au. And I'll throw to you, Christy.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. So the NAILA committee has also provided general resources for all NAILA participants. And for example, we have also provided speech template and tips also on video recordings and common mistakes that you might want to avoid, marking criteria that might guide you in making your video entry, and especially the 2021 information pack. So in this information pack, it's provided all of the very detailed and full information about NAILA competition. So like the very detail on the rules and more detail on learning outcomes from each criteria on the competition. And all these resources can be accessed on our website at naila.org.au. And so if you access it, it will look like, next slide, please. So this is what it will look like when you access the tips and template segment on the website. So if you want to check out each information, you can simply click a free link and it will direct you to the documents. Next slide, please. Thank you. So aside of the resources, we have also provided the frequently asked questions segment on our website. So basically it covers the commonly asked questions like how to enter and like how can you incorporate the theme into the speech. So you might want to check out that as well. And if you want to learn more about NAILA, you can also look for the testimonials given by the very important and influential people in Australia and in Indonesia. So on the website, there's also VIP testimonials, like you can also see like each videos on that. Next slide, please. And lastly, you can also find us on social media such as YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And if you want to check out for like videos from NAILA alumni, you can also see them on YouTube. So, slide please. Okay, and I think this will be the end of our presentation, and we are moving on to the Q&A session. We have Wes and Darcy here to help us answer all the questions. I think if you want to ask the question, you can simply turn on your microphone and camera or address the questions on the chat, and we will do our best to explain and answer your questions.
I think while we're waiting for the home questions, I also would like to just kind of like add, sorry, a couple of key points. Key points that participants might want to take into account, and that's pretty much how, like, in terms of clarity of your submissions, make sure that the audio the audio in your entries could actually be heard properly by the judges. So for example, if you decide to incorporate some sort of like walking out to, in the outdoor, kind of like showing around some particular sites, then make sure that your voice can actually be heard clearly in the video. Because most of the times, like when you do that outside, there'll be a lot of like wind, there'll be a lot of like external noises that might disrupt your voice. And so when the judges hear you, watch your entries, then like they won't be able to actually hear what you're trying to say. So that will actually affect your scores as well, because that means like you're not speaking clearly. There are also instances where in the past where people will be doing their session, like record their sessions at work, for example. So, but then at work, there are a lot of people walking around, a lot of people talking. And so the person's voice and the external voices are kind of like competing against each other. So we couldn't, like, the judges couldn't really hear what the person's trying to say. So that's something that you might want to think about. And then also make sure that you fully understand the prompt and like what we're asking, and make sure that you also answer the prompt as well. If it's a particular question, then like make sure that you actually answer the prompt when you deliver your speech. Okay, so we've got one question from Bayan. Does the place we wish to travel to need to be in Indonesia or anywhere? This one is fine. You don't really, like, we're not really too fussed about what particular place that you want to kind of like showcase. What we're looking for is more on how you deliver the particular answer. So if you want to kind of like particular, but also at the same time, make sure that you follow suit with the prompt. So if the prompt was like, oh, if you go to Indonesia, then like, if you want to go to Indonesia, then like, of course, you need to kind of like showcase and answer the question with a particular place in Indo in mind, and vice versa if it's Australia. But if it's just a special, if it's just like a general questions like where do you want to travel, then like, of course, if you want to Australia, that's fine. Indonesia or anywhere else, that's also fine too. Darcy, maybe I'm missing something?
No, that's yeah. If the question doesn't specify specifically like any place or country, then yeah, well, it'll just be all about your use of language and how you communicate a message and how interesting the topic, the presentation is.
Also, if you want to just kind of like, if you have any ideas on what kind of topic that you want to talk about, you can also kind of like ask that here as well.
So I think we have one more question from Bayan. Another question is, what are some of the successful NAILA alumni doing nowadays? So Wes or Darcy, would you like to answer that?
I might be able to help out here if you guys don't have anything. So that's something that we're working on at the moment, doing more engagement this year with NAILA alumni. So we're in the process right now of reaching out to all the alumni and then potentially doing social media series on where they are now, or even online events like this. So we're working on it, and once we know, you'll know.
Yeah, so we're trying to do that. That's one of the things that we're trying to do this year as well. But I know some of our previous NAILA alumni, some of them are still studying. Some of them are still kind of like at uni studying. Some of them have become teachers, English language instructors, for example, in University of New England. Some of them decided to work in consultancy as well. So we've got a lot of people from like different backgrounds. So if you kind of look at the the online, if you look at the NAILA highlights, and each year there will be a lot of like alumni and like the winners, and you can kind of like have a look at like what they're doing at the moment, like through like online. And most of the time, like they ended up keep engaging in Indonesia Australia relations in terms of like by being in academics, for example, or still studying. I know some the younger ones are still currently studying and in their like secondary school as well. So yeah.
Thanks, guys. That sounds great.
All right, if there's no more questions, we might wrap it up here. Once again, we've recorded this session and we'll be posting that on our YouTube after this. So you're more than welcome to email us or comment on that. And oh, we've got one more. What are some techniques for using props in the speech? Darcy or Wes?
So with the using your props and such, making sure it's relevant is always good for a starter. Like having like random stuff in it isn't good. Making sure it doesn't make too much noise. Like there's been like examples of like bags and stuff where like you're like holding them and moving them, and then like the noise of it just like drowns out all the sound. So ensuring the prop doesn't make too much noise is probably good. So always just listening back to your recording afterwards to double check. Not having too many words on it. Like if it's like a poster with like literally just a paragraph of text that you're sort of reading off. Also, again, it'll just be considered notes almost. But yeah, making it topical, making it like relevant, and making it engaging. So like actually using it and it actually having a meaningful purpose is probably like kind of abstract, but like yeah, that's sort of the point. So like if you're doing for last year, for example, it was talking about health and it was talking about your favorite sport, like having like the basketball there and you like throw it into the hoop, like that like adds to the presentation and like is topical. But like yeah, if you just had random stuff going on in the background, it probably isn't. Another one that was really good was there were a few students that were talking about recycling for like programs at their school. So they were going around with rubbish bins and like showing how all the different rubbish bins were being used. So that was like another example of how props were used quite well previously. So for travel and stuff, I assume you probably don't have access to like a plane or a helicopter or something to use as a prop, but using like a car, if you're doing it on a road trip, you're like getting in a car or something like that, for example, if that was the topic that you sort of chose about travel. But yeah, that's sort of what I think is a good technique for using the props in the speech. Do you have anything to add, Wes?
Yeah, I think it really depends on your creativity, to be honest. Like for example, another example from last year is that one particular student decided to deliver the entire speech in a kind of like a classroom Zoom setting. And so the president had like an entire, I guess, this is kind of cute. So he's got his pets to kind of like attend the Zoom class. And of course, out of all submissions for that particular category, like that stood out mainly because the way that he framed it is like, oh yeah, like he was the teacher trying to explain things to the students, and so that's something that you don't actually have to like follow through, but I think it demonstrates how like you can definitely use props as long as it's like within the kind of like the context of your presentation. So if you are presenting as a teacher, then like that kind of thing, that would be fine. And another thing that I was thinking of, like you're more than welcome to, just use a background, like a virtual background of like a place where you want to go, or if you want to do do a bit of jump cuts from like one place to another, that's also fine, but make sure that you don't do it too much, because we want to make sure that the entire entry is not edited. That's something. If you want to edit something, you might want to just edit like increasing kind of like the volume of your video, or it's kind of like the quality of your video, but not like editing the entire thing to make it like it's spliced up. For example, so if, for example, like you would like record yourself like 3-4 times and then just cut it through, and then cut the bad bits and then put the good bits together. So we don't want that kind of stuff. So make sure that if you're doing anything like editing, like make sure that you're using it like as minimal as possible. And also just to be used, for example, hi, I'm gonna go to Indonesia, and like 1 minute later, and like, oh, we're in Indo. That's kind of thing. That's completely fine, but like make sure that you don't use the editing software to get the best bits of your conversation, basically. Yeah, I think if anyone else, like if no one else is have any questions, then like again, like if you, for example, if you decided to develop your speech sometime soon, and you would like some kind of like further clarifications, then feel free to just kind of like send an email to us, and we'll be able to kind of like help you out as well.
Great. Thank you, Wes and Darcy, for the answers, and you guys for the questions as well. Like Wes said, if there's any other questions, feel free to email us and let us know. But yeah, I think that's everything. If no one has any other questions, we might wrap up here. Thank you everyone for joining tonight. Good luck with your submissions or your student submissions. And yeah, thank you all for coming. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
See ya.